Welcome to Breakfast with Spaniels with Dr. Judy Morgan.
Say the 29th. Morning, Marge. My phone is it's telling me who's watching right here. Get comments. Thank you, phone. There we go. Now I got comments. Yeah, it's Gwen.
Remember, you can purchase all of Dr. Morgan's products at her website at www.drjudymorgan.com. Now it's time to sit
Bonnie.
back, relax,
Thanks for the goodie bag. Hi, Teresa. All right, everyone. So it's pretty clear we have a guest this morning. We're on baby watch, but baby says no.
We're not on baby watch.
We're not.
She's very content where she is.
She is very content. So tell us about yesterday's doctor's appointment. Sounds like that was not the most fun.
Yes. So I'm at 39 weeks and 2 days. So our due date is this Sunday. But they have repeatedly told us that the due date doesn't really mean much, especially for first-time moms. So I'm trying to keep that in mind. But we were hoping, so we were using midwives, and so we're doing a lot of the more natural approach. And we will be delivering in the hospital, but it's kind of like a hybrid system where we have midwives in a hospital setup. So I've been doing some natural labor induction techniques. There's 7 of them for 2 weeks now. So I was really hoping that 2 weeks worth of work would pay off for something, but absolutely nothing. They checked me yesterday. She hasn't even dropped yet. There's no sign of any progress. Nada.
She's very comfy, and she says, there's no reason. She heard what's going on out there in the world, and she said, you know what? I'm hanging out inside mom because there's craziness out there and don't want to be a part of it.
Yep. Well, the other thing is, so they call it like dropping at the end of your pregnancy when they start, their head goes down into your pelvis. And so the nice thing about that is that they're lower, so you can breathe and eat food and not have extreme heartburn. So she's massive now. She's like at her birth weight. She's probably, I would guess, probably close to 8 pounds based on what Brandon and I were. So I have an 8-pound baby that's just sitting right up into my diaphragm and stomach. So it's just very uncomfortable for me. If she would at least drop down a little bit to give me a break, that would be nice. And then she can hang out there for a week or two. But
not too long.
Well, yeah, two. They wouldn't let me go 2 weeks. They said that they would induce me before 42. They don't let you go past 42 weeks.
Man, oh man, oh man, I can't imagine. So I have a great story from work yesterday. We saw a client in the morning with his big dog just for an annual. And while he was in the building, his son called and said, hey, my dog is a week past her due date and we don't have any babies. So I said, well, that's not good. And so we wanted him to come over in the morning in case the dog needed a C-section while I was still in the office to do it. So we got him to come over. He had to wait for a ride to get there. So he got there at like 12:15. And we had our ultrasound person in the building and she had just finished up. And so we were going to take an x-ray. It was a pit bull, so good sized dog, like 65 pounds. And I palpated her abdomen and I said, man, if she's got puppies in there, I'm not feeling them. And so if anything, it's a very small litter, but definitely this dog was not huge pregnant, but she had huge hanging nipples and a lot of milk. So I said, okay, we got a lot of milk. This is either a really good false pregnancy or there's a puppy in there somewhere. So our ultrasound person said, oh, well, let me just throw the probe on while we've got it here. Don't, set up x-ray. I'll just, put the probe on. So we did. And the dog has one puppy. Now, one. Now,
what kind of dog is this?
A pit bull. Now, there's a reason why dogs have this huge uterus with two long uterine horns on the body. It's because you're supposed to line up, 4 or 5 on this side and 4 or 5 on this side, at least for that size dog. So instead, we've got one puppy that is ridiculously huge. Like, she put the ultrasound probe on and I went, holy cow, that's like the biggest puppy I've ever seen. So this is like you, Gwen. She's having a big puppy. And so we called out to the owner and said, well, and we also calculated when the dog was actually due based on when he bred the dog. And the dog was at 64 days yesterday, normal gestation 63 to 67. So we said, we're not going to do a C-section. We're fine. However, there's a good chance this dog could need a C-section just because this puppy is so big. The good news is,
I was about to say,
it's a big mama dog, right? It's a big mama dog, so she might be fine with it. But if this was a small dog with one puppy, then we really get worried about getting those guys out of there. So when we called out to tell the owner, he said a swear word and then said, "There's only one bleep 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 puppy." So, we just laughed because we said, all right, this was this guy's get rich quick scheme. He already had his $5,000 spent that he thought he was going to get from selling this huge litter of puppies, and he's got one. And I hate to tell him, but if he needs a C-section to get that one out of there, he's going to have to sell it for $3,000 just to break even.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work out well.
So, this is one of those things where, so we can segue into something educational. Don't breed dogs if all you care about is the money. Breed dogs because you have a high quality dog and you want to perpetuate that high quality line. So I had somebody in the other day with I'm not a huge fan of shepherds because their wood personalities and my wood personality don't always get along so well. And we have this fairly new client with about a 10-month-old black shepherd, sweetest dog. And she's a really interesting case. She came to us originally because when she was like 3 months old, she had gone to another veterinarian for puppy shots, and they gave her that free pack of NexGard and HeartGard, and she gave both of them. And the dog developed an obsessive compulsive spinning and chewing at the top of its tail and butt. So they had x-rayed the dog, nothing. No fleas, but of course, what do they want to do? Treat it for fleas again, but it just had NexGard, so why would you give it more flea medication? So they wanted to put it on a hypoallergenic. This is the other vet, wanted to put it on a hypoallergenic diet, like all these different things. So the woman came to me thinking maybe chiropractic or acupuncture would help the dog. And after I did my exam, I said, this is a side effect of NexGard. This is a neurologic side effect of NexGard. And it was a really interesting case. The dog literally could not stop. So she was on Prozac. I mean, she was on a million different, this 3-month-old dog. So we did do an adjustment and some laser on her, put her on a lot of natural supplements and detoxed her. And it took about 6 weeks. And we're very lucky that it only took 6 weeks and the problem slowly disappeared. And she's now a 9-month-old, happy, beautiful, gorgeous black shepherd. And when she was in the other day, she has got some lameness, which is, I think, panosteitis because it's a shifting leg. It's just growth pains. And the owners, I said, boy, I'm not a huge shepherd fan, but this dog is so sweet. I really like her. I mean, she just gives, kisses and wants belly rubs. It's just sweet, sweet, sweet dog. And one of my worst dog bites ever was my senior year of vet school from a 5-month-old black German shepherd. So that's why I'm a little bit like, this dog is just wonderful. And she said, yeah, I'm thinking about breeding her because she's so sweet. And some of my friends want her puppies because she's got such a great attitude. And I said, okay, let's talk about this. And I said, the problem is your dog does not have perfect conformation. She's very cowhocked,
Mhm.
which means her knees her hocks in the back, the knees come together and her feet point out in the back end, which is kind of a recipe for ACL tears, hips popping in and out of the joints, although her hips look okay right now. And so it's not a perfect conformation for the dog. And so I pointed that out to her and she said, oh yeah, you're right. I have noticed she, stands a little funny in the back. And I said, so here's the thing. If you breed this dog, you have to be prepared for those traits to be handed down. And it's interesting, when we had horses, we talked about, what would make a good sport pony, because Gwen was showing ponies riding over fences, open jumping, hunters, all kinds of things. And so we were trying to figure out what would be a great sport pony. And I really like the Welsh, but they're a little bit skittish. So we're like, okay, we'll cross that with something else. And then we said, okay, but when you pick the mare and the stallion, you want to look at them and say, what are their absolute worst traits? So we have a pony mare now who's a quarter horse pony and very stocky, strong build. But she has, we call her Ed Big Head. She's got the biggest head in the world, and she uses it as a battering ram. She just pushes people out of the way. She's just, terrible. She's better with Gwen than anybody else because Gwen disciplines her. But
I don't know. she's a little feral right now since I've been pregnant.
Yeah, she's kind of a turd. But anyway, and we're like, she'd be great breeding stock to make a really good, strong, sound, large pony. So yes, we could cross her with something with a really fine little head and some finer bone, but what if we get the absolute worst traits of the mom and the absolute worst traits of the dad? We'll have a train wreck. So,
and I think now I've entered the phase where I'm just getting very soft as I age, and I just see like all the pets that go to, like all the horses that go to auction, all the pets in the shelter, and I'm just like, I could never personally justify it. I'm not a breeder of any kind.
Yep. Yeah, I
understand that there are very high quality breeders out there that do things for a purpose, and that's there for a reason. But for me personally, I'm just like, I love my mutt puppies and my mutt rescue animals, and that's just good enough for me.
Yep. So let's talk about Gwen and Brandon's traits. Because what are we going to get? What is coming out of this?
I did not sign up for this when I agreed to a Facebook Live.
So Gwen, how tall are you?
I'm almost 5'10", and Brandon is almost 6'4". So I think they said for a girl, it ends up somewhere in the middle, is what the internet tells me. So she'll probably be about 6 foot tall.
And what's your coordination level for things like basketball and volleyball for the two of you?
We are not athletes, so our kid is going to be 6 feet tall and very uncoordinated. So I don't think like the WNBA or anything is in our family's sights. So yeah, Brandon and I are both pretty smart, so that's good.
That's a good trait.
Smart.
Is there any stubbornness or I do it by self in either one of you?
Yeah, I'm hoping that she turns out to be the best version of Brandon and I, because the worst version is mildly terrifying. Very stubborn, very headstrong, very independent. And I know that you would enjoy every second if our child was like that, because he would just laugh and laugh and laugh.
I know. So I'll tell stories on Gwen. When she was like 3, we were at a horse show and she was just having a meltdown. It was at the Gloucester County Fair. She's having a meltdown. I don't even remember what it was about, but I literally put her in a football hold under my arm with her head sticking out that way and her feet sticking out this way. And she was just wailing and having a tantrum. I literally walked her over to the truck, threw her in and locked the doors and said, you can just sit in timeout. And of course, it's like 90 degrees outside and I got my kid locked in the truck. She was only in there a minute. But
my favorite Brandon story, because Brandon's an only child, so I think he probably was more difficult than his family would ever admit to because he's just like their whole entire world.
He's an only child, so yeah.
Yeah, and like you had, Andrew, my brother, who was a very sweet child. So I stuck out like a sore thumb being me. But Brandon had to wear like a little like block around his neck in preschool because when he would get frustrated, he would bite, sometimes for kids and adults. So he had to wear like a little block that he could bite instead of. And so I told him,
Great.
I was like, if our children get kicked out of preschool for biting, that is your fault. That is your genetics.
I think you only bit once, and I think it was your brother. So,
I don't remember being a biter.
No, that wasn't your thing.
But yeah, so we go back and forth over, because like the weird thing that I didn't think about until this point is like we have no idea what she looks like. So we spend like 10 months like fawning over this little creature, and she comes out and you're like, oh, that's what you look like. And so I joke because everyone has told me that firstborn daughters typically look like their dad. And I don't know how scientific that is. So there's this running joke that she's going to look just like Brandon and not like me.
Beard and all?
Hopefully not the beard. But she could have blonde hair and blue eyes, and people think that I adopted her. You just never know.
Does Brandon have blue eyes?
Yes. And my dad has blue eyes, so there's a chance that she could have blue eyes.
Yeah, I think the brown is dominant though, and I mean our side of the family is pretty brown.
It is. But once you have the recessive gene, it's possible. It's just I don't know what the chances are.
Diane says she bit once and her mom bit her back. She never did it again.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you parent biting. I haven't. Everyone asks me these questions, and I'm like, I've gotten through like the first like month of the How to Raise a Child book.
You only have to be 1 month ahead of her.
Yeah. The first month seemed overwhelming, so I stopped there.
Yeah, both of my kids look. You guys actually have a combination of your dad and I, but there's a pretty strong resemblance to me. Like Andrew has a real strong resemblance to me. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Brandon and his mom, like their baby pictures, you can't actually tell them apart. They look like twins.
Wow.
And so I don't know. It's genetics. It's anyone's guess.
Anyone's guess. Well, so guys, we just wanted to give you an update. Any chance you can stand up and show us a side view of the belly?
Oh yeah, I think it's gotten bigger in the last week, but
oh my.
There we go.
All right, I got a little lag. What?
It's bigger than a basketball.
Bigger than a basketball. I think we're a beach ball at this point.
We're a honeydew melon.
Oh, is that what they say? Yeah. Oh boy.
We're a honeydew, and then I think this weekend it's a pumpkin or something. My poor little belly button is doing that weird thing where your belly button pops out.
Somebody says, and then again, you could wind up with a petite version of Nanny.
Honestly, I have said multiple times that I hope that somehow our child turns out just like Nanny. I don't know how they could skip like all the middle generations, just be like Nanny and call it a day.
Well, that would be nice, because then she'd be nice. Unlike the rest of us. Unlike the rest of us who are, we need anger management class.
We're a little high strung.
High strung. We are high strung. Nanny doesn't get high strung. When she gets frustrated, she just cries. When her computer doesn't work.
I do that too now that I'm pregnant. It's very easy to make me cry. Like when the doctor forgot about me yesterday, I just cried.
Oh yeah, so Gwen left that out. When she went to the doctor's appointment yesterday, they stuck her in the room and forgot about her and left her there for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Like didn't you go looking for somebody? I mean,
so at this point I go every week, and now I'm actually going back Friday. So I'm going like multiple times per week since we're so close. And they were very busy, very overwhelmed, and they're kind of like basically double booking me because they don't know when I need appointments. I can't book ahead of time. So they were super busy, and they stuck me in at the end of the day, which was fine. And then they put me in a room and forgot about me. So,
You're lucky they didn't all go home.
so I was sitting there for like a really long time, and I could hear them talking and like on the phone and stuff, and I didn't want to be rude. And then I went out, like poked my head out, but they were actually like in the back portion of the office that I couldn't even get to. So there's like nothing I could do, and the receptionist had left because that was the last appointment of the day. So there was no one there, and then they started turning like lights off, and I was like, oh, this is not good. So then finally I was like, hey, yeah, I'm still here. And they were mortified. They were so upset. They were like, we are so sorry. They apologized for like an hour. I was literally there for another hour because I had to get all the stuff that I was there for. But
That's
yeah,
terrible. Well,
tried.
I can understand it. I actually did that to a client once. At the end of our morning appointments, the technicians had put somebody in an exam room, and our exam room doors don't have windows on them. So they put her in the exam room, and after our morning appointments, we do surgery. So I went to the back and I was doing surgery. And like 2 hours later, I came out and the exam room door was still shut. And I'm like, why is the exam room door shut? And I opened the door and there was a client sitting in there. I was mortified. I was like, oh my God, how long have you been in here? They're like, a couple hours. And they said, we could hear that you were in surgery, so we just figured you had an emergency surgery. And I'm like, oh my God. I did everything for free. I was just like, I feel so bad. This is like the worst thing in the world. I'm so sorry. Like, I hate to waste people's time. I felt so bad. It was just awful.
They were like genuinely apologetic, and they were like very nice people. And they said it was like a complete accident. They just got very frazzled, like overwhelmed at the end of the day. And I wasn't even mad at that point because I completely understood. And I was like, I get it. Like that happens sometimes. Just could we do it now so I can leave?
Oh,
so
man.
I was like super nice to them about it, and I'm still like, whatever, it's fine. If that's the worst thing that happens to me this week, that's fine. But
that is true.
That's the first time I've been forgotten in an office and almost got. It's like in the movies when you accidentally get locked in and they shut the doors on you.
I can just imagine you calling Brandon and going, well, all the lights are off and there's nobody here. I don't know how to get out.
I know. It's not even like a fun place to be locked in. It's not even like a Target where you can go, like lay on the furniture. It's a doctor's office. There's nothing fun there.
No. All right. We're going to get going. Supporters, we have TCVM, urinary tract. We're going to do more of our palliative care, end of life, so like senior dog, kidney issues. But stuff that we talk about will pertain really to any age. So we'll see you guys at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. And Gwen, hang in there.
The only other thing is that obviously whenever I do go into labor, we're going to have a little bit of a shipping delay for a day or two. But we're not going to close. We'll have someone that comes in whenever I go out. So be patient. If you don't hear from us, it's probably because I'm having a child. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you're having a puppy. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm having a kid within the next 2 weeks, regardless.
There you
go. It's just a matter of how.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's hope she comes out. Comes out normal time, normal with delivery. We shall see. All right. Looking forward to supporters. Yay. Yeah, me too. I was just sitting here reading my notes before we went online. So you can tell I don't have to rush off to the office today because we're just sitting here chatting.
You have to feature Nanny again.
Maybe we'll feature Nanny when Sarah gets here. Oh, Gwen's got a delivery or something.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Have a great day.